Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to meet you again. Good evening, China and India. Morning, Americas. Today we are going to speak about what's going on in pharmaceutical market of Russia from point of view of labeling, what's going on there in the law point of view, legal field, and what we are waiting. What changes are we waiting for in legal field, and how will they influence the requirements to the equipment, to software, to all the points which are concerning the track and trace system of Russian pharmaceutical market. So let's start. First of all, I'm going to give you a few understanding of what's going on Russian market of track and trace in general. As you may already know, there is a global system of labeling of track and trace which is built now in Russia. This is the global system which covers not only medicals but also nearly all kinds and nearly all fields of goods which are produced or imported into Russian Federation. As far as dates of starts are concerned, we're expecting tobacco to start labeling in the, let's say, first quarter of next year. Then clothes and footwear will start in July or the very end of H1. After that comes medicals we are going to speak about today. And somewhere in 2020 also we are expecting milk products to be labeling. In general, there are more product groups coming, but these are the main ones that are starting on this perspective, 1.5 years. All these groups are to be labeled or to be tracked in one legal field and in one rules of labeling, which are in general like this. First of all, we are speaking about single labeling system operator. And as far as pharma is concerned, it is CRPT. The decree of that by Russian government is already issued at the end of August this year. Operator develops and manages the unified national catalog, which is also a question to be discussed maybe not very widely during our today's meeting, but for sure it will be touched somehow. Data matrix code is chosen as a main labeling and track and trace procedures barcode. We are oriented on data matrix standards. Online and offline check on cash machines and special equipment for outflow of the goods and the end of the product life cycle will be implemented when the track and trace system will be in its full version. We are also working on the issues of unification of labeling systems of the countries which are in Eurasian society, Eurasian Union, which is Belarus, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Russia. That doesn't mean that they will be exactly the same track and trace solutions, but they will be in line with each other, and there will be intergovernmental solutions how to transfer one labeling system to another one. Another thing we are going to speak today is that the code emission is centralized, and it is centralized on the basis of encryption of code, which means that to the meaning information on the code, like serial number or GTIN, there is added some additional crypto part, which can be named or concerned as a digital sign, for example. The information system for all track and trace systems will be based on one architecture and will be unified. And the system of public control of the legality of the goods and the public control in which you can check any kind of marked goods to be authentic will be established and is already partly established on the territory of Russian Federation. Now we're going to some timeline for medicals. That's how it looks like. Before April this year, we had Federal Laws 61 and 425, which were stating the rules of medical market in Russian Federation. One of the laws, 425, was created by Russian officials just to implement this labeling system for data metrics, barcode to be put it on the box of every medical. In addition to that, there was a governmental decree number 62 dated the beginning of 2017, which established the experiment which is still going on in our industry. And according to this experiment, many of the companies are already doing labeling on the goods, on the pharmaceuticals, and these boxes are going through the distribution, through the retail chain, and you can find them almost in all drugstores in Russia. So the experiment is already on for more than a year. After that, in the end of April, there came an order of Russian government which stated the unified model of labeling for all groups of goods, including pharmaceuticals. And there it was first stated that there should be an encrypted part inside the data matrix barcode itself, and there were stated some rules of how this whole system should operate. That is the main thing we're based on today, while we're waiting for additional decrees of Russian government. And these are the basic rules of the game we're going to speak about today. In the end of August, there came a decree of Russian government which stated that my company, operator ЦРПТ, is named as an operator of an experiment of labeling of pharmaceuticals on the territory of Russian Federations, and these functions are coming to our company from Federal Tax Service. Our company from the 1st of November is operating as an managing operator of the system of labeling in Russia for pharmaceuticals. So from the 1st of November, we are taking the system from the Federal Tax Service, and we will further operate it, we will further develop it. It will be it's a growing system, it will be changed. We are adding some business processes there, we are making it better, but just from the 1st of November it comes to us right now. Federal Tax Service is still operating the system. What we are awaiting right now from the point of view of legal issues, we're waiting for mainly for three decrees of Russian government, which is a basic statement of information system. We call it MDLP, track and trace system for medicals in Russia. We're also waiting for the decree which will state the special regime of working with of labeling of so-called 7 nosologies. This is the narrow group of drugs which is sponsored by our government and which is given for free to patients with some rare diseases. So we're expecting that it will be a separate decree that states the rules of this small group of medicals. And the third one, which is quite necessary for the track and trace system, is the decree for sharing the open information. I believe that you understand that track and trace system is done not just to make all the manufacturers to label their goods. It's made to collect a big data, to collect an information about the ways and about of many parameters of how the goods move through the supply chain from the moment of its production through importation or whatever, through distribution, retail chain, and to the customer, to the end user. This information is quite necessary for government, for manufacturers, for distributors, for everyone. Part of this information should be open widely and should be available for every citizen or for every person who needs to find this information. So the third decree should be about this. From the point of view of timeline of starting of obligatory labeling, I can name just 2 days, let's say 3. The first I named already, 1st of November, CRPT is becoming an operator of the system. The second one right now is stated like 1st of July next year. It's not fixed yet while we are awaiting for the decree, but 1st of July is the date where those 7 nosologies will become obligatory for labeling. That's how we see it right now. And 1st of January 2020 is the global start of labeling of all the medicals for Russian market. These are the 3 main points. The project is very necessary and it's controlled on the very high level of Russian government. I put it here, this slide, not just to show you the big number of double-headed eagles or other heraldic symbols. I just put it here for you to see that the project itself is controlled by few ministers and other governmental organizations and is managed by 2 vice prime ministers. One is responsible for social block and the other one for IT one. It's a very serious and the highest level. No other project in Russia is managed on this level. It's the highest level of management and highest level of control you can have here. That means that all the decisions I'm speaking about right now and all the decrees we're waiting are controlled and are passing the highest level of Russian government, and we're expecting that all the basic statements will be done in a round of 1st of November, where CRPT becomes the operator of the system, and at the same time the rules of the experiment and of further exploring of the system should be fixed. That's basically the overview of what's going on from the legal point of view. I understand that many of your companies are waiting for these decrees to start preparing for labeling in Russia. Let me say that it's the position like wasting the time, because more or less the rules are fixed, and the earlier you start, the more time you will have for preparation. I believe that we can together go and reach the date of 1st of January of 2020 as a date of real startup of obligatory labeling, if we start together now. On my next slides, I will go through the job we have already done on preparation. I will share with you some experience and some expectations, and maybe you will find out some steps that are quite suitable or can be useful for you in preparation of implementation of the system for your companies. First of all, what is this crypto part or encoded part of data metrics? Let's go briefly through it. First of all, it's just a number of letters, figures, and special symbols from ASCII table, which are representing the centrally generated by operator code with open key. It's quite a long thing. It's 88 symbols. I will speak about a little bit later. This part is added to the valuable information of the data metrics code, and this part is generated centrally, and this part is making the making this code I would say unique. In the previous version of methodical recommendations, which were valid for the experiment of labeling, the companies were generating serial number and GTIN themselves, and in serial number there were some rules that were made to provide it unique and to provide that it will not be they will not be doubled in some few millions of variations. Of course, when you start to use it widely for all the manufacturers in all the markets, not only pharmaceuticals, this approach will not work due to huge number of serial numbers generated simultaneously on different manufacturers of different goods. That's why, and to create the unified system, it was made a decision to centralize the generation of the code, and this centralized part of the code was encrypted, and the result of this you can see here on the slide. We have a 64-bit encryption in according to Russian standard. This is called asymmetric encryption or encryption with open key. 64-bit means that it is 88 symbols. We are using two fields in GS1 table, which are basically field number 91 and 92. Field 91 is a short one. It's used for an open part of the key, 4 digits or 4 symbols. Sorry, not 4 digits, it's 4 symbols. It could be letters also. Field 92 is 64-bit, which is 88 symbols. More or less, it is a digital sign from what does it mean for the data metrics barcode. By this digital sign, the government ensures that this barcode is unique and cannot be falsified or cannot be doubled. By putting here on the slide the picture of the GS1 standard, which states the fields of 90 till 98 to 98 or 99, 91 to 99 fields as long as 90 symbols. I wanted just to show that we are quite in line with the general release of GS1 dated January this year. How it looks like in life. Here is the normal code, put it on the box of some pharmaceutical product. What was there according to the previous recommendations, which the producers were used, manufacturers were used for a previous year. It was containing GTIN number, field 01 according to GS1. It was containing a serial number, field 21, and it was containing a TIN-VED code. This is a special Russian thing which were occupying the field number 240, just 4 digits. What is changing here? First of all, TIN-VED code is right now not obligatory. You can put it or not, up to you. We added 2 additional fields. It's quite a long one. You can see it's a field 92. It's quite a long one. And the other fields, which are marked in red, they are not obligatory. You can put them there into the barcode, but not necessary. They are not necessary fields. It's up to you to put them there or not. By the way, I want to emphasize that the fields like series and expiration date are obligatory in a readable form, so obligatory to be printed near the data matrix barcode in a readable form, and that is stated by the Russian law. And near all the data matrix code, codes on every picture you will see this information printed. But that doesn't mean that you have to include it into the data matrix itself. How it looks like right now. Of course, the density of this code is much higher. On the coming slides, I will disclose some experience of how do we do that, how do we print it in the suitable physical size. But right now, this code looks like this. About the hardware solutions. Of course, when we started the experiments of printing this code, the first task we put it for ourselves was we need to print it in suitable size to cover, say, 90% of the boxes that are used for medical goods, for pharmaceuticals. We made some analysis and we found out that that should be at 12 millimeters maximum size, which is a ½ inch printing head and serialization machine is covering this size. And this really covers something like 89 or 90% of the boxes. You can print it on a short or narrow side of this box. And we started the set of experiments with some pharma manufacturers who had already this serialization equipment on site. It was a phase 1. We tasked ourselves to cover something like 90 to 95% of the serialization equipment, of vendors of equipment, to be ready to print this code. So we came through the market, we found out different types of equipment, and these different types of equipment we tried to test. We tried to find out the regimes and some tunes, how to make them print this data matrix with this density of the information into the fixed size of 12 by 12 millimeters. Of course, we tested different types of printers. It was different types of jet printers plus lasers. Lasers make much less problems, and we have a very good experience in tobacco labeling, where the speeds are much higher, 4 times higher, up to 4 times higher than in pharmaceuticals, and they are using the laser technology to label the cigarette boxes. So we passed something like 95% up to now, 95% of manufacturers of vendors of equipment. By the way, I believe that some of you who are watching now this webinar are representing the vendors of the equipment. If your colleagues in Russian rep offices or in European or American headquarters still didn't contact our company, and we didn't pass through some negotiations and some tests with you, you are more than welcome to try it with us. We have already the unique experience in this. We can give you and share with you our experience, and the only thing we want you to be ready to the new rules that will come soon on Russian market. Also, of course, based on this experience, our testing experience, we had prepared the methodical recommendations, some white papers for tunes of equipment from the point of view of how to print it correctly with the fixed quality, with desired level of false prints, so on and so forth. For now, we have such materials in Russian. I would be happy to represent the English versions today, but they are still not ready. I believe that up to 25th of October, so say 1 week from here, we will be ready to represent these papers in English, and they will be distributed via our website, or maybe we will make a direct mailing if possible to the attendees of this webinar also. Of course, when you have performing the series of tests, you have to also to test some additional parameters like quality of carton, quality of boxes. That's what we also did, and we had some results. We also are ready to share it. On the next page I will show some examples. But for now, I will say that we have the very good experience with different kind of boxes, and we also can share it with you. Coming out of this phase 1, we have a very good result. We have reached the size not only of 12 by 12 millimeters. Right now, we are able to print with a grade B of quality, squares like 10 by 10 millimeters or even 9 by 9 using the inkjet technology. For laser technology, there are less problems, and we can easily print 9 by 9. For those of you who are technical specialists, we are printing 40 to 40 information modules in this size. So it's 40 to 40 modules printed in 10 by 10 millimeters physical size with grade A and B. Our targeted reject percentage so the boxes that are printed with not acceptable quality, is 0.2%. This is a target. Right now we have reached a stable level of 0.5%, which is quite good, but we are not still satisfied. We are continuing working on it. But in August and September, beginning of October, this 0.5% is reached and it's quite stable. All the major hardware vendors on the territory of Russian Federation we could reach are in continuous contact with us. We are preparing the technical solutions and special tunes of drivers for printers, drivers for scanners, cameras. It's a normal job. Most of them, mostly international companies, do not publish the results of it, the results of this job, while the decrees or official statements of the rules are not in place. But I believe that at the moment when it will be done and the decrees will be published, these companies will be ready to present the customers, the manufacturers of pharmaceutical goods, present them the solutions which are in line with the requirements of Russian law. Few frequently asked questions to this part of my presentation. There are some rumors or some information which is circulating on the market. We know about that. That's why I decided to publish here some results, and on the right side you can see here that our data matrix code with a high density is printed in a good quality on different boxes of different medical goods or pharmaceuticals produced on the territory of Russia. About the speed of the product line. The highest level of speed for inkjet printing we had tested, or even we had found on the territory of Russia, is 300 packs per minute. We had found just few of them. We're expecting more, which is right now coming and implementing. They are passing right now the final tests to be implemented and put it in production mode, and we are also participating in this. In two of these tests, just two of these tests, we had the result where the speed was decreasing from 300 packs per minute to 250 packs per minute. Deeper investigation of the cases took us to the solution or to the decision that it was not the question of printing, it was more the question of recognition or verification of the code. So the camera which verifies the quality of the code does not work in case of this high density code, does not work with the required speed. The printer works properly. That means that we have to find out, and that's what we are doing right now very actively, to find out the software solution or software tunes for the cameras that are implemented on the serialization lines to bring the results back to the targeted one. So we need the camera to be as quick as the printer. It's quite a task which has a solution. We know how to do it. I think that from this point of view we'll have almost no problem. Just for your understanding, many of the manufacturers are declaring 400 or even 500 packs per minute, but our experience shows that if it is an inkjet printing, 500 packs per minute is not a reachable result, even with the low density data matrix code, because the speed of moving of the box does not allow the ink to dry properly, and the quality because of the speed is decreasing dramatically. So the normal speed of inkjet lines is 300, maximum 350. Maybe it's Russian special experience, I don't know, but we didn't find the higher speeds on our manufacturers' facilities. All which is working higher, all the lines which are working higher are using the laser equipment. Does this data matrix code with higher density or more information inside it require some kind of other quality of carton, or maybe it requires a bigger box to be placed on? As for the size of the box is concerned, if you are able to put it to pack your medical into the bigger box, you're welcome. If you have enough space on your box to print the bigger sign, the bigger data matrix, you are more than welcome. Then all the things I'm telling you today about the special tunes for printing this number of digits into this size of data matrix, you can forget it. You can print just bigger data matrix if the box allows. If the box doesn't allow, then we are fixing it on 12 by 12 or 10 by 10 millimeters, and you have to use 600 dpi resolution for printing. You have to maybe sometimes to use a pixelization regime, the pixelization mode. So there are some special tunes you have to make to go in these requirements. Again, for us it is already an experience, we know how to do it. If you are facing such problems, just contact us. We will go deeper into technical details and we will be happy to share this experience with you. But anyway, we right now can state that 95% of the boxes are allowed to print 10 by 10 millimeters data matrix on them. For the boxes which are smaller, we have to find some other decisions. It's 5% of the market. We are working in it, and if such questions appear at your company, also please address to us. We will find the solution together. As far as the quality of the paper, the quality of carton is concerned, we have made a serious investigation of it, and the picture number 2, the one on the right upper right corner, is a picture of the box which is made of the worst material we could find on the Russian market. Of course, the speed of printing is not that good, because we need to slow it up to make the ink to dry properly. Even the easiest, the smallest data matrix on such a kind of surface is printed with a very bad grade, like C or even D. And it's a problem, it was a problem for the old requirements, it's a problem, the same problem as for new requirements. It's out of the question of existing of more information inside the data matrix code. It's a question of the quality of the paper, even to print by inkjet technology this data matrix, any data matrix. We are working on it, and we also have the experience on that. We had find just one just one item of the box, of the carton, which is bad enough to create such problems. We found out how to solve it. If you have such problems, please also address to us. On the other pictures, you can see the sizes of data matrix. it's 10 millimeters, it's 9 millimeters. What I already said about the percentage of rejection of the false printing. Yes, we had reached the percentage like 0.5%. So that means that 99.5% of the boxes are printed properly with the grade A, B, or C of the quality. This figure was reached when we are printing the size of 10 by 10 millimeters. That's the fact. This fact is covered by a few protocols of testings. We can share the experience. Please also address to us if you have some questions. Does it require expensive changes in the equipment? Although program of tests of the whole program we performed was about how to make the existing equipment to print the new data matrix code with the higher density of information. That's the only task of this phase of testing. If you are buying the new equipment, you can easily change the requirements to your supplier. If you have already the equipment, we are here to make the tunes to the equipment you have, to make it print with a proper quality on a proper speed, and that's what we are doing, not to make you change anything in your already bought lines. About the software. Here we have to speak about the changes that are not about printing or more information. It's mostly about centralization of the distribution of the code. First of all, let me show you a so-called black box or emission register. This is the equipment which is put on every manufacturing facility on the territory of Russia to be a server for generation of this centralized part of the code. That means that the manufacturer has to produce the serial number, the GTIN, send it to this server and get back the response in which it will be serial number GTIN plus some addition like 92 symbols I described before. And these combinations you have to send to your printing machine. So, of course, it's not a black box, it's more a blue box. And it is just a server that provides like a digital sign, nothing more. Of course, our company ensures distribution, implementation, and service support of these boxes. It is for free. Nobody will require money for this equipment. On the territory of Russian Federation, we are doing it for all the manufacturers. Out of Russian Federation, of course, we do not bring you these boxes. There is a cloud solution you can address to. Of course, for doing that, you have to be registered in the information system, track and trace information system, MDLP, we're speaking today about. But no additional equipment is added to your production facility abroad, Russian Federation. Just for information, the smaller picture in the right down corner is the outflow register. This is the box which is designed to register the boxes of medicals which are distributed into hospitals, which are distributed for free for special categories of people who has the right to get the free medicals. This covers the far end of the track and trace system. This covers the end of outflow of the medicals to the customer, to the end user. Of course, in drugstores there are cash machines. These cash machines will be modified. They will have a special chip there inside, also for free. Everything I'm speaking about here on the slide is for free. This special chip is a kind of it's an obligatory thing even now. It's a kind of control of fiscal data, which is obligatory for the obligatory requirement of tax service. But this chip, starting from 2020, will be modified just to perform an offline check in case of internet is not available. And you need, in this case, you need to sell out the box of medical. It will perform an offline check using this digital sign inside the data matrix, and it will ensure that your box is authentic, it's legal, and it's passed all the legal procedures. From this point of view, the far side, the retail side of the track and trace system is also covered, and these devices, of course, give back the information to the information system, which in turn forms the kind of big data I was speaking about before. In brief, what we are speaking about. We have an unified scheme of connection, centralized connection to order and receive and report also of these data matrix codes, the data that fulfills the data matrix code, this digital data which is put it inside the data matrix code. Part of it is centralized, the other part is generated by the manufacturer. We provide the unified protocol and the unified way of getting this information and reporting about this information. So you can already now you can start testing this service using your ERP system or whatever system you use on your facilities. So you can start to test this interoperation with the service of centralized emission of codes. The whole infrastructure is placed physically on site in Russian Federation. If the manufacturing facility is outside the Russian Federation, it is a cloud solution. But anyway, there is a single point of requesting and getting back this centralized part of the codes, even if your system is managing many manufacturing sites in Russia, out of Russia, around the whole world. It's unified, and it doesn't matter for what manufacturing facility you are requesting the codes. You address to one IP address and you get it in one format, so your level 4 or level 3 system can easily operate with this information. In addition, you can use level 3 or level 4, that's up to you. If it's easier for you to request the code from every manufacturing facility, every production site, you can tune the system to work like that. If it's easier for you to use a centralized service for your central ERP system that serves all the production sites, you can use it like that. Of course, we thought about the validation issues. That means that the emission register is put outside the local network of your site, the local network of your company. So you can be quite confident that nobody is trying to change your information or take your information or add some information to your local network or your centralized systems, and you just address to this emission register the same way you address to any outstanding service. The only requirement on the territory of Russia is that the server should be physically on site, means on the physical territory of your manufacturing plant, but still it can be, if you like it, you can put it inside your local network, but in normal way it should be outside your local network but physically on site. That means that no additional validation of your local network is required. This is a general scheme how we see it. I already said a few words about that. So if you are managing your production from the centralized, say level 4, like SAP, TraceLink, whatever, you can address the request for centralized part of the code to the API, to our universal protocol like API, which will itself decide to what kind of equipment to address your request. If your facility is outside of Russia, the request will come to the cloud solution. If your facility is inside Russia, the request will be routed to the emission register that is placed physically on the territory of your manufacturing plant or facility. That's how the system works more or less, and that's a unified solution. I believe that this solution makes much less problems for you to change the business processes. You have changed just one business process. I mean, you cannot send the generated code directly to print on your equipment. You have first to require from the outside service to require their additional centralized part of the code, and when you get it back, then you send it to your equipment to be printed. Mostly everything written on that slide I already commented. Just one addition. This emission register is also a digital safe, which can contain about 2 million codes at the moment. So that means that you can plan your production, requesting up to 2 million codes of different series, of different GTINs, of different, even different items of production. And it will contain it for the case if you need it very quickly, or for the case of any problems with internet or whatever. Of course, for abroad facilities where this hardware equipment is not available, there will be more complicated scheme. I mean, you cannot store it on your site, you need an internet. For sure, you also have to connect to information system, track and trace information system, we call it MDLP. You have to connect it and you have to be registered there in a normal way of how our regulations require. So you need to send a request to be registered there, you have to pass the whole procedure, you have to obtain there all the necessary services inside the system as a manufacturer, as a part of the Russian pharmaceutical industry. Some questions. Does your centralized system of enterprise management require any changes? Yes, it does. you need to add the business process of requests and obtaining the centralized part of the code. That is the problem. That could be the problem for the big companies which are using quite solutions which are quite expensive and slow to be changed, like SAP, like TraceLink, as I already said. Anyway, this is the smallest change we can make. It doesn't concern any crypto encrypted part. It's just about the centralization or existing of the centralized part of this code, which Russian government gives to every manufacturer. Does your level 2 equipment or equipment which software which is implemented on your printing equipment, your serialization stations, require any changes? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That is the question you have to check. First of all, I want to emphasize that in line with the current release of the JS1 standard, you have to have the length of the fields 91, 92 as long as 90 symbols. It's in line with the standard, but not all the equipment is ready for that. That's first. Second, please note that the field 92 should be, it's necessary, it should be changeable. I mean, it should be dynamic. It changes for each box, it will be different. So there should be two fields, which is a field of serial number and field number 92, to be variable and variable every time, dynamic from box to box. These are the changes that are quite sensible, but that's what we are working with our colleagues in vendors of serialization equipment to solve right now. Can the emission register influence somehow the local network? Depends on you. We are not requiring that you put it inside the local network. If you don't do that, it will not be able to influence it anyhow. But there is a way in which you can, and for many Russian manufacturers, not international ones, just Russian, do that. They put it as a server inside their local network. In this case, of course, it will influence somehow the local network because it's inside there. I can give you my word that it's not going to damage or steal some information, but if it is inside, of course, some influence, it will be there will be in place some influence of it. But the normal way is that you simply don't put it inside the local network. Some online services like TraceLink, I don't see any problems. If you generate the serial number and GT in this combination yourself inside your ERP system, or if you require it from the outside system, from some outside service, for us, for our business process, it doesn't matter at all. The only thing I can see here, if you have a contract manufacturing, say on some Russian facility, the international company is placing as a contract manufacturing the order to produce some kind of pharmaceuticals, and the order is passed from one legal entity to another one through the TraceLink, through the service. In this case, there are some, they can appear some changes into this business process, but still I recommend only after this transaction is over and you have got the codes on your final destination place and your site, which will print the codes. you can address to our service from that side. Don't use these two online services in parallel. Use them one after another, and in this case I don't see any serious problems. More or less that's all I wanted to comment on centralized part and crypto code. A few words about the migration of information system. That's mostly for those of you who are already in there and who are already operating with the system, putting in there some information, requiring some information and getting some information from there. That's for those. Basically the question is what will change on November 1st when the operator will be changed from Federal Tax Service to CRPT. You can see the blank white slide there. That means that nothing will change. Really nothing will change because the service and the every features that are in there, all the features of design, all the features of operating of this system will remain the same starting from the 1st of November, except the IP address. So if you will go or try to reach the system on the 1st of November using the old IP address, which is nalog.ru something after that, you will get the information, you will get the text line with a new address to find your system. At the same time, the information letters of the changes will be sent from us, from Russian legal entities to all the companies that are registered or passing the procedure of registration for MDLP. It will be sent by email, it will be sent by paper, so the information will be done as wide as possible. We, from our side as an operator, will do also the special mailing from our side. And these are all the changes you will find. At the same time, the whole information inside the system will remain the same. No new registration will be required from those who had already made this procedure and already registered inside the system. All your personal or company information there, all transactions, all documents, all the descriptions of the pharmaceuticals, everything will remain the same and nothing will change. Starting from 1st of November, only the system migrates, and then it migrates as is. Don't await that something will change on the migration process. First we will migrate the system and then it will start to develop according to the plan that is published of the development of the system. But on the 1st of November, nothing for you will be changed. That's almost all I wanted to say. I still address my message to the manufacturers, to vendors of the equipment, serialization and aggregation equipment. Dear colleagues, please contact us. We have an outstanding experience. We know the new requirements and we have an experience how to fulfill them. Let's work together to satisfy your customers. It's our common task to make the whole market to be ready in a year and a half for obligatory labeling in Russia. Dear colleagues from pharma companies, don't wait for 31st of December of 2019 to become a member of this information system of MDLP system. Register just now, because you need to test your processes, you need to put in there your medicals, you need to understand how to work and how to connect with the system, connect this system with your corporate IT infrastructure. Please don't wait, just operate. The decrees of Russian government will follow shortly, but the earlier you start, the more time you will have to get a success on the 1st of January of 2020. From this point, I want to thank you very much for your attention. We have collected a lot of questions. I believe that most of them I had already passed through during this presentation. We will check the questions and we will come back to you quite soon with the public answers for them. Thank you very much. See you. Goodbye. Hello again, dear colleagues. I'm here to answer a few questions. I found out that I have something like 25 minutes more of my time to answer the questions. Part of them are in Russian, part of them are in English. I will try to answer everything in English, but I will read the questions on the language they are printed, typed. Шипши Елена, Santans Logistic Group. Утверждена ли последняя версия методических рекомендаций для участников пилотного проекта по маркировке лекарственных средств? The question is the latest version of the methodical recommendations already approved? Not yet. The big part of the methodical recommendations will be covered by the decrees of Russian government we are expecting. Some part will be still there, but according to the decisions of or according to the approach Roszdravnadzor is now providing, it will be done more not by methodical recommendations, it's rather will be done by orders of Ministry of Health. So recommendations, it's for experiment, for the testing or for implementations of the system. It's no more the experiment, it's not the recommendations, it will be orders. Can you define exact meaning when you say label? When I say label, sorry my English. If you try Google translate, you will find few meanings. When we speak about the medicals, we are considering right now, maybe it will be changed, but right now, and I think it's a final version, right now it's only just direct printing to the box, no labeling, no putting the label on the box, no applying, just direct printing. Michael Manilov, number of figures where something means much greater than. Maybe it's easier for you to ask it in Russian. Please specify a question. I don't understand. Anna Wilson, could you clarify what you mean by printing the human readable information near the data matrix? What is allowed and what is not allowed? How do we interpret this? I can address you to the methodical recommendations which are right now issued by Minister of Health. Nothing will be changed there, even in the decrees of Russian government. And I can address you to the 61st federal law, which directly says that in human readable information should be printed by the methodical recommendations. It's serial number, GTIN. By the law, it's also expiring date and number of series. Also, if I'm not mistaken, it's also the date of manufacturing. That's what I mean, that human readable information must be printed. You can print it everywhere on the box, anyway, anywhere. Not necessarily near the data matrix code. You can put it on other side of the box or whatever, but it should be printed according to the Russian law. I hope I answered the question. Anna Wilson, can we have human readable information on the flap? That I answered already. Yes, you can. You can have it on any side of the box. Gert, higher density means more difficulty to read data metrics due to camera resolution. Did you test readability with standard market readers? Yes, and it is published already. You can find the press release, which is published a few days ago, just 3 days ago. We have passed, and the other one is right now preparing to be printed. We performed tests in the distribution layer. So we tested all the possible data metric scanners on the warehouses we had found. And we had performed the test in the retail chain, the drugstores, Moscow drugstores. We found out that all the scanners that can read the data metrics, they also read the higher density data metrics code with no changes in time of reading, in focus size, whatever. It is published. We made it in Neopharm retail chain of Neopharm drugstores. Mikhail Banilov, 88 alphametrics without special symbols equal to Mikhail, let's okay, just read the GOST 32.10 2012. That's not a question to me. Thank you. Job Gauss, hi Anton, great presentation, thanks. Thank you, Jacob. Can we print a rectangular code instead of a square data matrix code? No, you will not be able to put enough information if you pass the standard, if you follow the standard of GS1. In GS1 right now only one rectangular or two rectangular codes are available. The biggest of them is, if I'm not mistaken, 12 to 48 information models. It's not enough. You need 40 to 40. So it would be the most beautiful solution if the standard will change. It's not changed yet. Еворская Анна. Известна ли уже стоимость одного криптокода для иностранных производителей? What will be the price of one code for international manufacturers? I don't know. That will be stated in a special decree of Russian government. That's not we who are responsible for pricing in this issue. So I cannot answer this question. Sorry, I don't know. Rose Campasano, does the L4 need to request encrypted serial numbers from the cloud service and send them to the line systems? Can the line systems request and manage encrypted serial numbers directly? Yes. You can request and print the serial numbers from layer 2, 3, and 4. So anyway, any place where you have the software, even from the software of the printer, you can address the request for centralized crypto code there. Yes. Vadim Miteris, we're exporting our pharmaceutical products from Turkey, and how can we attend a test program? Yildirim, nice to meet you. Please write to me. I'm not sure that my email address is there on the translation screen, but it's a.Kharitonov, Kharitonov, a.Kharitonov @crpt.ru. Write to me, I will connect you to the right people. Konstantin Shikatov, please tell us more info how the print grade was determined in test. Two ways. First, quite official, and the second, standard. Standard way is that the verification camera of printing line normally makes some measures of the grade, and it gives it on the screen of operator when you print. That's the most quick way, and that's the way which is acceptable by most of the manufacturers. Nearly all the lines of international vendors do that because they have a camera there. In addition to this, we are the happy owner of the verifying device, quite certified and attested. We have it here in Moscow. I know two of them, really. Two companies who have that. Officially, we have, no, three companies. We have one of them. So if there are any questions of real grade, and if there are questions of from the manufacturer to test, or if the production line is not equipped by the express grade measurement, we do it on our certified device. Michael Manilov, ISO compliant verifier can't give the data matrix, so 40 by 40 models, 10 by 10. No, it can't. Better than 10 grade because the number of dots per element restrictions, even we can discuss that. That's not true. That's not true because let's calculate. Take a calculator and divide inch to 600 and use 6 dots per one information model. You will get the correct result. It's easy, not the question of discussion here. Evgeny Perevalov, when cloud will be available for the test uploads and downloads? Is there a fixed format of data exchange files available? You can get the test protocol right now and try to make the testing in 10 minutes after I'll be out of this chair. Yes, please address to us. We will give you the test protocol and you can connect to the server. Rose Campazana, how do we authenticate with REST API? It's still a question of Federal Tax Service till 1st of November. So you can address to the help desk, or also you can write the question to our help desk and we will pass the question to them. Still, we are not authenticate users right now because we are not the operator of the system. Either you wait for 1st of November and I will answer, or you write down the question right now and I will forward it to the help desk. From the same user, the documentation mentions a click token to be used. It's the same to the previous question. Konstantin Shekarov, what caused the need to use a register on premise? Why couldn't everyone use a cloud solution? Good question, thank you. I'm not allowed to discuss the decisions of Russian government, sorry. Marcis37, can we request data from a stock of G10 to be stored in our level 4 and use on demand? Yes, of course. Nadesh K, more details regarding problems with TraceLink, please. What does it mean exactly, one after another? Which order? Let's connect directly with you and discuss. We are in process of communication with TraceLink and we are right now discussing this business process. Vincent Van Rechen, we heard about shelf life on the cryptocode. Shelf life on the cryptocode. This is correct. Sorry, I didn't understand the question number 20. Shelf life on the cryptocode. I think it's not correct because I don't understand it. Rose Campanella, please confirm whether L1, L2 and L3 system and CMO, if any, will need to be modified to comply with these changes. I tried to answer it by the whole of my presentations. Sorry, my colleagues show me that I need to be out of the air. Maybe the last question. For this level 1, level 2, level 3, I assume I had also already gave the answer. What about aggregation versus readability of barcodes? If you are using a mathematical algorithm or other algorithms when you make an aggregation, so if the packages are scanned or read one by one, which is applied on most of the high-speed lines available, that is no problem and no issue at all. The only issue is when you are facing the camera which reads the barcodes in the whole layer, the layer reading of the barcodes. In this case, we have reached the 95% of success. Which means that out of 100, if you are packing the layer of 10 by 10 boxes, 5 of them could not be read from the first approach of the camera. And there are two possible solutions, and depends on how your line is tuned. First of it is quite in line with what is done in every retail store on the cash machines, where there are few scanner lines and they choose the best result. So you can make 2 snapshots by the camera and combine them. It solves the problem in 99% of cases. Otherwise, if you don't want to waste your time to make the second snapshot, which takes less than a second, you can scan it by the handy scanner, which is added to any line of any vendor. It depends on how your business process is tuned. If only encrypted serial numbers are encoded in the barcodes, do the downstream system then scan barcodes? Yes. I understand your question. We'll have to send the encoded barcodes to the level 4. You can send them whatever you want and wherever you want. The thing is that the scanners in retail or in 3PL are tuned to read only the fields they are interested in. They simply don't recognize or don't interpret the information in all the other fields which are out of the business, because 90 fields, 91, 92, 98, 99, there are fields which many companies in many industries are used for the corporate information. You can read the JS1 standard, the corporate information. So out of the corporate, out of the manufacturing plant, this information simply is not readable by scanners. They read it, of course, but they don't interpret it and they don't send it to the systems, the ERP systems of distributors or retails, whatever. It's easy. Ben Emery Hansel. Will there be any changes to MDLP reporting related to the introduction of crypto codes? Yes, the serial number in GTIN will come from the crypto subsystem, and it will be matched with the information you have sent to the information system via API of your normal connection to MDLP. Only if the information matches, then the system will proceed. Sorry, colleagues, I'm out of time. Thank you very much. The number of questions is growing. We will surely answer them and distribute it here or through email. Thank you very much. See you. Bye.